I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime, and this is Currents.
An historic day for the church in America. The nation's largest diocese gets its next archbishop. Healing is about more than a visit to the doctor. How about some divine mercy?
We need to ask for mercy. Ask and you will receive.
And cooks converge on Sheepshead Bay to grill for a good cause.
Barbecue, wonderful. Pork, pulled pork, barbecued ribs, brisket, chicken, fish, you name it, I eat it.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. Well, Los Angeles experienced an earthquake this morning, but not the kind that you measure on the Richter scale. Pope Benedict named the man who will be the next Archbishop of Los Angeles, and that is causing a seismic shift that could affect Los Angeles and the American Church for years to come.
That's right. He is 58-year-old Archbishop Jose Gomez from the Archdiocese of San Antonio, Texas. And he will succeed Cardinal Roger Mahony, who is slated to retire next year. This appointment puts Gomez in line to become the first Hispanic cardinal in America, and it's a move that illustrates once again the growing importance of Hispanics in the American Catholic Church. Well, joining us now to discuss this is Currents contributor, Vatican watcher, and author of the blog Whispers in the Loggia, Rocco Palmo. Rocco, thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime, ma'am. Francesca. How are you?
Great, Rocco.
Good,
nice
thanks.
to hear from you. Well, this, of course, is a very big day for you, I know, a very busy day for you. How big is this news? Put this into context for us, if you can.
Well, for the first time, Matt, normally a pope's most important choice, or at least in the past, the pope's most important choice in this country would be the Archbishop of New York, the country's media capital, for a long time the largest diocese. Now, for the first time, it's Los Angeles. Cardinal Mahony is the longest-serving American cardinal since Vatican II. He's been there 25 years. It'll be this fall. But even beyond that, the Archdiocese has more than doubled in size to 5 million Catholics since he became Archbishop. That's twice the size of New York. And 70% of the entire Archdiocese is Hispanic. It's this moment of arrival, again, a seismic moment indeed, an earthquake for the American Church, because there's never been a non-Anglo American cardinal, and Archbishop Gomez will be that.
And he is from Mexico. He's born in Mexico. Obviously, this means a lot to the American public, the Latinos here in the country and in the Los Angeles Diocese. Tell us a little bit more about how they're going to make the adjustment themselves in the Los Angeles Diocese after having been served by Archbishop Mahony for 25 years, and now they're making this shift.
Well, it's really, it may be a shift by the appearance of it, but Cardinal Mahony's entire ministry from his first days as a priest was dedicated really to Hispanic ministry. He marched alongside Cesar Chavez, was essentially his chaplain, and is seen more as someone who may have an Anglo name but really has a Hispanic soul. So the difference is that now Archbishop Gomez is not just going to be a Hispanic archbishop in Los Angeles. He's really, he's already been the country's senior Hispanic cleric by virtue of being Archbishop of San Antonio, but now he's going to become the leader not just of Hispanic Catholics in the country, but really even possibly more than the Archbishop of New York, the leader of the church, the main voice of the church in the United States, because he can speak to Anglos and Hispanics with equal ease.
All right. Now, as far as what we know about Archbishop Gomez so far, Rocco, how do we know how different he's going to be from Cardinal Mahony? I mean, these are two people who come from different places and different backgrounds. Mahony, as we've mentioned, has been there for 25 years. It's kind of like I kind of sort of drew the parallel in my mind about Pope John Paul being the only pope that many people knew for their entire lives. Well, on a local level, it's kind of the same thing for the Los Angeles Archdiocese and Cardinal Mahony. So how big of a shift is this going to be based on their backgrounds? I know that Archbishop Gomez is Opus Dei.
Yes. Well, it's funny. I've been talking to some of my friends in LA. I think have been a little kind of perplexed or vexed by this, but I think basically when people hear Opus Dei, even people in the church sometimes, that fantasies of the Da Vinci Code start dancing through their heads. Right. I don't think that's definitely not the case here. The first time I met Archbishop Gomez was actually about 10 years ago when he was an auxiliary bishop of Denver, and he just came out of his room at the Cathedral Rectory in an open white shirt. It was a Sunday afternoon, and just no ring, black pair of slacks. He was one of the most relaxed bishops I met then, still is. He's very low profile, and I think obviously, there's going to be a change of personalities. But even beyond that, in terms of administrative style, the Archbishop is a lot more comfortable just being a teacher, a pastor. You know, Cardinal Mahoney comes from an administrative background, or comes from a personal history too, where you were much more immersed in the nuts and bolts of administration. That's not the case for Archbishop Gomez. At the same time, it's interesting that early on, after he was named Archbishop of LA, to get around the Archdiocese, Cardinal Mahoney used a helicopter, which he later on had to sell. So it'll be interesting to see if they're going to resurrect the helicopter even briefly to show the Archbishop around. He really doesn't know LA. All his ministry in the States has been in Colorado and Texas.
Right. That we know, and we also know that he's obviously going to be speaking to his new parishioners in a way probably that is different from Colorado and from Texas as well. What do you anticipate is going to be maybe on his agenda and some of the new things that he's going to be tackling?
Well, I don't really think Francesco's going to be too much of a change because the teaching of the Church never changes. There will be a slight emphasis of style. Cardinal Mahoney has been the leader of progressive Catholics in this country, undisputed, essentially for the last 25 years. Archbishop Gomez comes from a much more conservative background, but at the same time, he's still going to stand firmly by the Church's teaching on immigration, which tends to clash with conservative political sensibilities in this country. So, you know, the face may be different, the ethnicity and the background may be different, but and that'll show with time. But at the same time, you know, the challenges of the LA Church are still the same as they were yesterday, and they'll be the same tomorrow. I mean, arguably, one thing the Archbishop does walk into is handling the fallout, the continuing fallout, the sex abuse scandal there. LA paid out by miles a record settlement of $660 million over 500 victim survivors in 2007. The Archdiocese is still kind of coming to grips with simply paying that off. So that's really challenge number one that he faced.
Right. Well, one more last very quick question here, Rocco. Where do we go from here? When is the installation of Archbishop Gomez? And then where do we go from there? When does he officially become the leader of the Archdiocese of LA?
The Archbishop they'll have what's called a massive welcome, since he's not being installed directly as the Archbishop on May 26th. And then quickly after Cardinal Mahoney's 75th birthday, next February 27th, Archbishop Gomez will step into the full reins of the Archbishop of Los Angeles. It's worth noting really quickly that basically he's just going to spend the next year doing confirmations, meeting people, learning the ropes so that he can really hit the ground running on day one.
All right, great. All right. Well, Rocco Palmo, Currents contributor and author of the blog Whispers in the Loggia, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Anytime, guys. Great day.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rocco. And Rocco also has much more on his blog, and you can find a link at our website. That's currentsny.net. And also late today, the man leading the country's second largest archdiocese congratulated the man who will lead the largest. New York Archbishop Timothy Dolan said that he was overjoyed to learn of the appointment of Archbishop Gomez, and said he will be a great blessing to the people in Los Angeles.
Well, when we come back, we'll have the rest of the day's headlines just ahead, including an Easter Vigil fire that sent 3 people to the hospital. That and more coming up. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime. Coming up just a bit later, a story that will make your stomach growl, just what we need, grilling out for a good cause in Brooklyn.
Sounds yummy. But first, let's check today's headlines. Reports in the New York Times and the Associated Press have recently criticized top Vatican officials, including Pope Benedict, for their handling of some clergy sex abuse cases. But a new report from the Catholic News Agency says a document used as the basis for much of that criticism was incorrectly translated by a computer. That report says the document concerns the case of Father Lawrence Murphy, a Wisconsin priest who abused some 200 deaf children decades ago. CNA says, quote, expert translation of the document shows that church leaders left open the possibility of defrocking Father Murphy. The Times report says that church leaders halted a trial that could have led to the priest's removal from the ministry. Well, you may recall that Brooklyn Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio recently spoke out in support of the Pope. At last week's Chrism Mass, the bishop said the pontiff should no longer be, quote, the punching bag of the New York Times. Well, as bishops around the world now are also supporting the Pope. The pontiff has recently been under fire, not only after criticism by those media outlets that I just mentioned, but as a sex abuse scandal spreads in Europe and here in the U.S. One Mexican archbishop said Benedict has always handled cases of abusive priests with the utmost responsibility. The Archbishop of Paris called the recent media criticism of the Pope gross propaganda, and an Italian cardinal says following the example of Pope Benedict is the way that leads out of this storm. Well, meantime, the storm continues to grow after media reports that an Indian priest who is accused of assaulting a girl in Minnesota continues to serve the church in India. Father Joseph Jayapal was accused in 2007 of molesting the teenager a couple of years earlier. Reports say the bishop in India refused to remove Father Jayapal from the priesthood, even though the Vatican recommended that he should be defrocked. Father Jayapal says he is innocent and he will not fight extradition to the U.S. to clear his name.
The husband of St. Gianna Molla has died. Pietro Molla died last week on Holy Saturday. He was 97 years old. Pietro Molla died on the same day St. Gianna gave birth to their daughter in 1962. St. Gianna had experienced health complications while pregnant and died a week after giving birth. She refused to have an abortion and is regarded as a powerful figure in the pro-life movement. Pietro Molla's funeral was held today in Italy. And finally, an Easter celebration at one Knoxville, Tennessee Catholic church. It took a frightening turn in a flash, quite literally. 3 people caught fire during Saturday night's Easter vigil. Ann Keel talks to the pastor, who says he jumped in when he saw the robes go up in flames.
I was about to begin the ritual, the prayers of thanksgiving for the fire, and all of a sudden there was a whoosh, a flash, and I saw kind of a blue-yellow flame go out.
The pastor of the church, Paulist Father Joe Ciccone, says it was a frightening experience. The robes worn by 3 people involved in the service caught fire. Hospital officials say Deacon Joseph Hugh Vinn, his daughter Trang Vinn, and Richard Patrick Connolly are now in stable condition.
I threw myself on one of the young men whose robes had caught fire, and it was a hard enough effort, even in my own robes, to quench the flame and to put it completely out.
We could see scratches and a burn on Pastor Ciccone's hands as he spoke about the importance of the Easter service that was later completed. A small amount of rock salt was spilled into this bowl and alcohol was added twice. He says the second edition caused the flare-up.
We utilized the primordial symbols of God's creation, fire, and later on water for baptism. We light from the fire the Easter candle.
He says he is thankful for the community's continued support. As for the 3 victims, he visited them last night and says they are trying to remain in good spirits.
It's going to be a long recovery, a slow recovery.
Well, that is Ann Keel reporting.
Stay tuned, there's much more Currents coming up. Just ahead, looking for answers in troubling times? This week may be the perfect opportunity. We'll find out why.
Everyone in the church, the leaders as well as the people they lead, are in very great need of divine mercy.
Recent reports about abuse in the Catholic Church have many people angry and upset and looking for some way to heal.
But healing does come in many forms, not just physical and mental, but spiritual. That was just one message at a recent conference in the Bronx on divine mercy.
But just what is divine mercy? There are many answers to that question, but as we found out, it has the power to transform.
This is me when I was 18, okay? So how did I go from being this guy, right, to being this guy? Obviously, mercy had to come in and just, bam, just floor me, and it did. Big time. So, yeah, big time.
Our philosophy is to get the people to the conference, expose them to the message of divine mercy, and our philosophy is, our strategy is, get the best possible platform of speakers and surround them with good support structure and a wonderful facility, and we have a great message, and that's what we're trying to do.
Divine mercy is usually explained in the ABC method. We need to ask for mercy. That's very scriptural. Ask and you will receive. We need to be merciful because obviously we can't ask for mercy and then hold it all to ourselves. C is completely trust in God's merciful love.
Divine mercy means that we have the opportunity to shape our public policies in our nation. We have the opportunity to elect our leaders, to change our leaders, and to correct unjust laws.
Divine mercy is focusing for people's thought and prayer to the message that Christ brings the mercy of God to the human race.
Well, this is a tri-state area activity. We've actually got people from as far away as Delaware. Primary, it's in the Archdiocese of New York, so we got a lot of people from there. We actually have buses that go into New Jersey to bring people here. We sold the capacity of the auditorium. We could possibly challenge 1,200. We have some very popular authors here. We have Father Don Calloway, who's written a very outstanding book, No Turning Back. We, of course, have Father Pavone, who's written so many books, and Father Groeschel. And Immaculée will be here, and Immaculee's books, Left to Tell, and one of our other books with the Miracle Chibeo.
I think that that's really the point of mercy, is that we need to speak the truth. I think it's a very sad thing that we all have to recognize that the institutional church has made errors in judgment in how they handled priests that were pedophiles. In all honesty, these priests are themselves damaged human beings in need of God's mercy.
A great deal of what is happening is a media event. It's a media setup. All sorts of people fall into scandalous, sometimes, failures. And now you would have the impression that it only happens in the Catholic Church.
Everyone in the church, the leaders as well as the people they lead, are in very great need of divine mercy. And that means not only forgiveness of sins that we've committed, it means strength to avoid sins in the future.
And we're here because we learn a lot, from the speakers, and we are on fire with the Holy Spirit to spread the message of divine mercy.
A popular message, and there was quite a turnout there for that conference, and a lot to think about, really.
Yeah, it's really very much the case. And this Sunday is actually Divine Mercy Sunday, too. We have much more about that over on our blog. Just go to currentsny.net and click on Riding the Wave.
Stay tuned. There's much more Currents straight ahead.
When we return, a lip-smacking good time to benefit education.
Is spicy, hottest in town. Woo.
Well, finally, if you're looking for a recipe to help Catholic schools, you could have found one recently in Sheepshead Bay.
That's right. You could have found a lot of them, actually. It's the annual Grillin' on the Bay fundraiser for St. Mark's School.
This is Grilling on the Bay and the Brooklyn Chili Smackdown. We were looking for a new way to make money, because everything you do with the parish, you see the same faces over and over and over again. I just felt that, how many times can you ask for money from the same people? Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it, and the school definitely does too. With the economy the way it is, everybody needs every money they can raise. We've got the barbecue contest, we've got the chili contest, we've got the crafts fair. It's going to be packed today. It's a judged barbecue contest. We've got teams coming from Massachusetts down to Ohio. It's run by the New England Barbecue Society. So we follow their rules. Then the teams today are cooking chicken, pork ribs, fish, and chef's choice. And then we also have the Brooklyn Chili Smackdown, which is a strictly People's Choice Chili Award. The people who are here will be buying the chili and voting on it and picking their winner.
Delicious. I think this one's the winner. Ooh.
I just started trying it, so I've had 3 of them so far.
Is spicy, hottest in town.
Ooh. Considering what's been going on in the Brooklyn diocese, I would say St. Mark's has prevailed and is actually moving forward. I mean, their enrollment is over 330 children. 250 families. And I would say, considering how the neighborhood is diversifying and changing demographically, it's come on top.
Most definitely support the school. It's my church, my school. I'm an alumni here, and I'm proud to help out any way I can.
I can't believe they're going to be like serving, if next year they would be serving cheeseburgers with the chili inside. That would be cool.
Yeah, this is really, really great. I wish we got to try all the barbecue stuff too.
Bigelow, that's me. I am the defending Reserve Grand Champion from last year, and I'm here just competing for my title again.
We'll win this year. Yeah, we're going to win this year. That's the difference. Same stuff, we're going to win though.
We could say that, you know, we like to think that we could maybe play with the big boys, but we'll see how today runs.
Are you kidding? Barbecue. Wonderful. Pork, pulled pork, barbecued ribs, brisket, chicken, fish, you name it, I eat it. And these guys are really good cooks.
First place overall for Grilling on the Bay 2010. A check for $262.50 goes to Blazing Butts Bar.
I really don't know what to say. It's been a just a great day. Very, very surprised.
I'm a little disappointed I lost our title.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed, I have to say.
I'll always be back, absolutely.
Well, they've been having the grilling event there for about 5 years now. This year, we're told they raised $5,000 for the school. So good food, a good time, raise money for a good cause. How can you go wrong, you know?
Yeah, you can't really. And the thing is, it's more of a community event than anything. Really, it brings everybody together. Whether you're cooking and you're doing the recipes or you're doing the judging, it's more than just writing a check. It actually gets you involved and gets you thinking. And also at events like that, when you're spending time with one another, you have a chance to talk about things and maybe get solutions to new issues or come up with yet that new fundraising idea.
Yeah.
So anytime you kind of can bring together people like that, including food and all of that other good stuff that I know we all love, it's a good thing.
Expand your horizons, you know, a little bit, and you know, maybe expand your waistline a little bit too. But you know, I mean, in moderation. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. I had often wondered what Santa Claus does during the spring and summertime. Now I know.
And now you know.
He judges cook-offs.
He judges chili. Yeah, I know. And one of the things that he reminded me of as a judge was when I lived in Pensacola, Florida. There was a Gulf Breeze gumbo cook-off for the Chamber of Commerce down there, and I was the judge there along with Olympian Dustin Gatlin and Robin Amber from Survivor fame.
Yeah.
They reside down in Orange Beach now, and they have a new family, a young child. And we would all judge all the, not the chili, but the gumbo. And figure out which one was the best one, the spiciest one, and it was always a fun time because you get to decide.
It's really cool. Yeah, I did something very similar to that. It was a chili cook-off when I worked at a radio station in Georgia, which is, of course, my home. But one of the other judges there was Atlanta Braves Hall of Fame pitcher Phil Niekro, which was really cool. He was like one of my idols growing up, you know, because I grew up in the Atlanta area, was a big Braves fan, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm judging a cook-off with Phil Niekro.
All thanks to chili.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was really cool.
You have to thank the chili.
That's right. Including this. Thank you. Anyway, well, that's it for tonight's edition of the show. Coming up tomorrow, a special look back at the life and legacy of Pope John Paul II, 5 years after his funeral.
Meantime, remember, we are always online at currentsny.net, and you can follow us on Twitter. You can also become our fan on Facebook. Until next time, I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great night.